Hey guys, welcome to the Final Whistle podcast. What's in store this week? 10 men Liverpool come back twice to secure a point at Anfield against informed Fulham. Arsenal are frustrated by Everton in a goalless draw at the Emirates. And more than heads rolled against Wolverhampton, where they lost in a crucial game against Ipswich Town. Gary O'Neill, of course, has been sacked, which we will get into. And I don't know about Ben, and I don't know about you guys, but I think I have witnessed one of the worst Manchester derbies ever in terms of quality. But there was a bit of drama at the end, and I'm sure we'll get into that. So let's get into this one. Ben, welcome back.
Yeah, it's a pretty mental weekend. It seems like no one really wants to win the title at the minute, but
It's like
yeah.
you go. Yeah, we've been quite fortunate, definitely. Where should we go first? I think we've got to cover Liverpool because, of course, you were there. So I think it's only natural that we go there. So, what did you make of this one? I spoke on Gag's Tandon Show, so I'm more interested about you because you were there.
Yeah, it was a really bizarre game. It was one of those kind of crazy ones. Obviously, the Robertson red card early on kind of defines the narrative of the entire game, really. But at first, I was really frustrated by it. I came out of the ground kind of kicking myself, and then I saw the Arsenal result. I know we'll get onto that, and it was a chance to build another 2 points on them. But then, after a bit of thinking, it's a good point in the end. Coming back twice with 10 men. Just ask Arsenal how hard it is to play with 10 men, and they'll tell you how hard they struggled. So, and I guess the annoying thing is that Liverpool probably should have won in the end with the chances that they had, but it's just one of those things. We'll move on.
We will move on. I think some of the key kind of sticking points for me were, of course, I thought Liverpool started really sloppy, a bit like the Girona game, like in the first 10 minutes. And lo and behold, that's when Robbo got sent off as well. And there were zero complaints from me. I mean, like his first touch was poor and he made that challenge. It was a bit, rash, but he was the last man. So I completely get why, he was pretty much sent off. I just thought it was really stupid. I think and of course the deflection goal as well. He did get a deflection on the Pereira goal. I just felt like both of the fullbacks for me had a bit of a poor showing. We spoke about it on the Gags Tandon show, and like Trent for me massively underwhelmed. I think he could have done way better on both goals. I even feel like him tracking the Fulham player who oh God, what's his name? The one that everyone keeps talking about.
Robinson.
Robinson. I wanted to say Robertson. It's a bit of a, a head freeze for me. But yeah, he should have done better tracking him. But I think for me, both of the fullbacks were really, really poor. Who were the kind of standouts for you? I do agree with you in the second half. I do feel like Liverpool definitely. I mean, when we went 10 men down, I think Liverpool played better. But who is better for you in terms of like which players impressed you about the Manchester derby? Of course, no listeners, if you do know, my mum is a Man United fan, so she's absolutely buzzing. I have a nephew who's a Man City fan, so it's going to be very interesting. But yeah, who impressed you on the eye? Because to me, when I was watching it on the stream, I was quite impressed with Sabotslai, not Gravenberch because of what he did, but I was really impressed with Sabotslai's performance.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. And everyone in the ground was kind of receptive of how important he was yesterday. He works so hard, and when his quality isn't there, and we'll get on to some of the other players, his work rate is always there. I think the problem that Trent had yesterday was his quality on the ball wasn't there, but his attitude and the way he was strutting around the pitch didn't do himself any favours at all, and people in the ground were getting really frustrated with him. And yeah, Robertson, not good enough. I mean, on the first goal, like you say, the deflection goes off him, but I don't get why he turns his back and kind of flinches. I mean, it's a header from a few yards out. It's not going to be very powerful, but you've got to kind of put your body on the line, and then the red card, like you say, the touch is just absolutely stupid. And yeah, I think if that happens against Liverpool, you're asking for a red card. So, but yeah, the referee had a few other decisions, and he wasn't so consistent. But yeah, it was frustrating.
Diop should have been off way before Robbo. it was, yeah, I agree with you. But I feel like, Ben, this is like a common thread that we constantly talk about, the inconsistency, not only in refs in general, but the inconsistency in the game, in the
Yeah.
actual game. So like a referee will show you inconsistency in one game. And I just feel like we're becoming very, very accustomed to it. And it's become one of those where it's that old saying, well, news things should say, it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, and one thing I would say on that, I know we're going to talk about the Man City game in a little bit, but Liverpool looked a bit devoid of ideas at times, and they still looked in more control and more creative than what Man City did in that entire game against United. So, testament to the way Arne sort of adapted, putting Gravenberch back into kind of like a back three. In the fight, it's always there with Liverpool. And one thing I've always said about the title race that Liverpool have as an advantage is the fans. I mean, again, we'll get onto them, but you look at the fans of the likes of Man City and Arsenal this weekend, it was pretty pathetic. Liverpool are always going to have the fans behind them, and that happened again yesterday.
It did. And I love the fact that, Fulham probably went into that, they were 1-0 up, and, Silva probably told them, keep it tight, keep it compact, don't give anything away. And Liverpool come out, and Mo Salah just has that moment where he finds Gakpo, that gorgeous ball, and, that leaping header by Gakpo. And it was, again, super subs from both sides that, had the kind of, the final goals, and Muniz for them, who I think has been really impressive, by the way. I thought he had a good breakout season last season when he came into it all. And Jota, my word, I'm so glad to have him back. And you know what? A little shout out to Darwin Núñez as well, because he's been getting a fair bit of stick, and to play him that ball. In hindsight, now, is it a good point for you? I know you left Anfield grumbling.
Yeah, it's a good point, definitely. I mean, you look at it, we haven't lost any ground on Arsenal, and Everton at home, even with 11 men, is an easier game than Fulham at home, and that's without taking into context a red card. So that's another week gone by where Arsenal haven't got any closer to us. And then a point built on Man City, and they've got Aston Villa away next weekend. So yeah, I mean, I'm a lot more positive now than what I was after the game, but you just got to keep on building, and hopefully that kind of fight and determination kind of inspires us in the upcoming weeks to kind of really push on from it.
I hope so. And something I didn't mention, I just hope Kwanzaa, he's a personal takeaway from mine is I just want him to get over the lack of confidence that he seems to be going through as well. I don't want that for him. He's just signed a new contract. He's a young lad, and I feel like that slot hooking him in that Ipswich game, I feel like it's had a massive effect on him. And, of course, you saw him on the goal as well. Initially, the fault was Trent Alexander-Arnold, but obviously he was the last man that could have cleared it and didn't. And, of course, the ball came in. So, yeah, hopefully everything goes well with Kwanzaa and he kind of turns this around, because, again, he was absolutely sensational for Liverpool last season. Right, you teased in the Manchester derby. So let's talk about the Manchester derby. This is why we're a little late on the stream, guys, because there was some injury time and there was some drama. Oh, my days. It finished 2-1 to Manchester United. They joined the club of beating Man City. It's not hard these days, Ben. It's not hard. Come on. Like, I tweeted as well, Manchester's not blue and it's not red, it's brown, because they are both shit. It was horrendous. At one point I thought Man City are going to run away with this with a piss poor corner that Man United are just absolutely hell-bent on conceding. I couldn't see any team scoring, just going to be brutally honest.
It was a rubbish game of football, absolutely rubbish. And you're looking at I know Foden's had a really poor season, but and De Bruyne, you're looking at them and you're just thinking like, surely they do something. But De Bruyne was like a passenger for Man City today. It was really, even like, his set pieces and stuff even were miles off. I know the score from the set piece, but even that comes from a bit of kind of like a bit of a mistake that they kind of get lucky with the deflection and stuff. They just look awful, Man City. Man United were the better team. I know Man United were struggling to create stuff, but you look at the possession, and Man United were dictating the tempo. They were passing the ball around them like they weren't there at times. And if Man City play like that away at Villa next week, the gap's going to get even bigger, because they're going to get beat there.
Yeah, we'll get on to Villa in a minute. I guess the shining hope for Manchester United, and it was a player that we kind of, I think we've got to highlight as well. Mason Mount getting injured as well, really, really early, and Kobe Mainu coming in. You know, that is a 25-year-old player who I feel like has spent more time on the treatment bench than the actual pitch. And you know that is a big, big concern for him and Manchester United. And I know Liverpool fans. There was a point where Liverpool fans really wanted him. I just think that is a massive dodge the bullet.
Yeah.
We don't need another one. Does I mean some would argue that he'd fit perfectly at Liverpool because of the injury record, but
Yeah.
you know, I'm glad with that one. But there was a player who did really well for Manchester United, and it was Ahmad. He was, I mean, I was watching it from like a neutral point, and I was like, if I'm a United fan, I'm getting a bit annoyed at him because he keeps going off offside. In the first half, I
Yeah.
thought 3 times just wandering off offside when he didn't need to. Second half, I thought him and Mazraoui were probably Man United's best players, if I'm being brutally honest. I feel like they are overall Man United's best players in general. I feel like United are in that stage now where Liverpool were when we had Gerrard and Suarez, and those two were Liverpool's only quality players. I feel like that's where they're at right now. But come on, then talk to me about the drama.
Yeah, and just on that quickly, Man United. I thought Man United should have had a penalty before the one that they scored as well. I think it was Diaz kind of slid across Hoyland, and
Yeah.
I mean I know there's not an awful lot of contact, but like you can't just fling your leg across someone while while they're running. And also I've got to get off my chest, Kyle Walker.
I'm
Oh
so
my
glad. I was
God.
like, oh, I forgot that. Thank you.
Yeah, that is so embarrassing for a grown man. What is he like 30, 33, 34 doing that? Honestly, so embarrassing.
Bad, wasn't it? It was
Mm.
embarrassing, and yeah, it was really bad. But yeah, a lot of people were shouting. I think Gary never really wanted that one as well, naturally because he is. But you're right, he did kick out. He did kick out, and you know, like under normal circumstances, you know what is intentional, what isn't. So yeah, I guess that one is really open to interpretation. I mean, personally, if that was against my team, I'd want it. So
Yeah,
you know, I like the fact that you're being very pragmatic and neutral, and you
yeah.
said Man United actually deserved the penalty. But the drama at the end, I thought towels are in, but Mateo Nunes just having an absolute brain fart moment. And of course, you know, Ahmad just pouncing on it and, you know, being the crucial player.
Yeah, I love the I love the reaction of Do you see Pep in the background? They showed like the replay of the penalty, and you just see Pep in the background, just head in hands. And honestly, I don't know what he was thinking. The pass back was awful, and then like Ahmad gets there, and you know like the angle's that tight, you just stand him up. He's not going to do anything. And you look at the Man United players; none of them were kind of like sprinting to back him up or anything, and he just absolutely plows into the back of them, and it's just. To be fair though, the way Bruno was playing, Bruno Fernandes, I thought he might have missed the pen, but
Yeah, I actually, yeah,
thankfully for us, he scored it.
yeah. We much appreciate it, and Ahmad just puts the cherry on the cake, as so to speak. But yeah, it really, really dreadful stuff for Man City as well. Of course, they lost in Europe as well to Juventus. Things are looking really bad. I don't think you know, this is so new to all of us, so new to Pep Guardiola as well. I can't imagine what this new breed of Man City fans are feeling as well. Be very interesting to see how they cope, because in my lifetime, Liverpool have been rubbish. I don't know about yours, Ben, but Liverpool have been dreadful in my lifetime. Me as a supporter.
Yeah, I kind of I well, I was when Rafa Benitez was here, like 2009. I would have been 6. That's kind of like my first memory, and then we had like the Hodgson and
So
then
you've
Rodgers.
all been through the dark days. You've had
Yeah,
the dark.
I've had a bit of both. Yeah, but for the majority, I've been quite fortunate.
Uh,
But yeah, it, the atmosphere was dreadful. It's so bad for a derby, and this is
mhm.
what I mean about the fan base behind Liverpool is going to be such a big. You saw Arsenal fans were leaving early and booing them yesterday after a 0-0 draw, and then you see Man City fans. I mean, you could have heard a pin drop in that stadium tonight.
You know what I found bizarre? I heard Man City fans, who were the home fans, singing Fergie's Right, Your Fans Are SHITE. You're the home fans. I mean, like you sing that when you're the away fans and the home
Yeah,
fans. Like it's the wrong setting to sing that. Yeah, I agree with you. It was overall dreadful. Right, Ben, we've spoke about the Manchester derby. It's done. Where should we go next?
I guess while we're touching on the title race, we may as well do Arsenal Everton. I mean, there's not much to really talk about in terms of the game. But
Well, you know what? Let's talk about Pickford's shithousery. Some good saves by him as
yeah,
well. There was one shot on target by Everton, but it felt like it was a full-on defensive resilience being switched on. 8 set pieces for Arsenal, which I checked. None went in, obviously, but yeah, a goalless draw at the Emirates. A massive, huge point for Everton.
yeah, I thought this was like a kind of like a banker for Arsenal to win, to be honest. But when
Yeah.
you think about it, the lack of creativity that they've got at the minute, if there's one team you can't rely on set pieces against, it probably is Everton, because they're just a team full of absolute giants. So, and Everton had the chances as well. I think Decore had a good chance pretty early on where he's through and he takes like half an hour to shoot, and by the time the defender gets back, it's too late. But yeah, I mean, they're looking for a goal and he takes Odegaard off as well, which I found really strange.
Mm.
I don't know whether there's a knock there. I mean, not to be like that fan, but hopefully there is a little bit of a knock there, because this they're so reliant on Odegaard and Saka, and even Saka without Odegaard is nowhere near the same player as what he is with Odegaard. So I mean, we saw the way they imploded without Odegaard before. So if he wouldn't mind taking another few weeks off, that would be great.
It would be great. I think that's us touched on that one. Can I pick the next one? Our boys Ipswich won. Wolves
Yeah.
2, Ipswich 1. We're happy with that. Last minute drama for Ipswich. And of course, today we heard the news Gary O'Neill has been sacked. So give me your thoughts on this one.
So yeah, the game Wolves were rubbish. Ipswich deserved the win. It's a great result for Ipswich, especially off the back of last week where they chucked it away against Bournemouth. You kind of think they'd be in the dumps a little bit, but it's a huge result for them. They've picked up a few decent away results. I know they beat Tottenham, but they need to start picking up points at home. But for Wolves, honestly, it's so toxic. I can't believe how bad they are. I mean, you look at the team, some of the players they've got, like Cunha, João Gomez is quite good, Ait Nouri. But honestly, did you see the stuff at the final whistle as well with Cunha?
I did. It was awful.
Having that guy's glasses off.
Awful. And you know what? If Gary O'Neill hadn't been sacked, which obviously he has, it happened earlier today, and even his comments post match were pretty much defeated. He was pretty much throwing the players under the bus, like, nah, like he's normally about the unity and unification. And it just felt like he's just like, no, that's a them problem. Like he just basically
Yeah.
picked it all on them. And it was horrendous. Cunha just completely just lost his head, like pulling. Was it the security guard of Ipswich, his glasses off and pushing him around and stuff?
I don't know. There's a video of him elbowing him in the back of the head as well. I don't know if you've seen that one, but there's another angle where the guy's there and he just goes up behind him and elbows him in the back of the head.
I saw that. That is violent beyond any. The lap
so-
and out Nuri going fisticuffs as well. It was just
Yeah.
horrendous.
Yeah, because I knew he got sent off, and Cunha will get banned for what he done after the final. Well, you'd think so anyway. I mean, if he doesn't get banned for that, I don't know what's going on. But I feel a bit sorry for Gary O'Neill, because he's definitely a promising coach. He done well with Bournemouth, and I thought he'd done an all right job last season. But you look at the cards that he's been dealt there. Like selling Pedro Neto, selling Kilman, selling Neves, and like they haven't really brought anyone in to replace them. And when you do that, you're only going to head one direction, and that's the direction that they're going in. I mean, it's the right decision. I mean, you can't keep them after the results that they've had, but I feel a little bit sorry for him. But I think he'll get another chance in the Premier League at some point anyway.
I think you're spot on, and I think you hit the nail on the head. You want results, but you sell the best players, and you're not doing anything to help the manager to replace the said players that you have sold. What do you want him to do? What do you want any manager to do? This is why Lopetegui left, right? He was just like, I can't do this, yeah.
It reminds me a bit of Southampton, and they thought they could keep getting away with selling players a lot, and then it caught up with them, and it will. It happens to every single team that's down there and does that. So yeah, I think they're in real trouble, and with the way Ipswich are fighting, and Leicester, I know we'll get onto them, they got smashed, but they're showing signs. Wolves are in serious trouble now.
I have to agree with you, because at first we were a bit like, nah, they'll be all right. They've got a good run of form. They went through a difficult phase, and this was their kind of easier, where you kind of, you expect them to kind of get the 3 points. I would agree with you on that one, but I'm so thrilled for Ipswich. I'm glad they won. Where should we go next, Ben?
Let's do Newcastle Leicester. Yeah,
It's just absolute hammering, wasn't it?
yeah. I look back at the highlights and it just seemed like bullying. To be honest, it was. I can't really remember seeing a highlight of Leicester attacking.
So bad. You know what I found really strange though? Obviously, Newcastle are 1-0 up at half time, right? It's only 1-0. I think
Mhm.
it's Murphy that scores on the 36th minute. What I found really strange by Ruud van Nistelrooy is he took up one of their best players of the season, Hermansen, and brought on Ward, and we all know who Ward is. He's played for Liverpool. And for me, that's where I felt like it kind of went a bit up Shit's Creek.
Yeah, this
Was
happened to them.
he the knock? Was he? I don't know.
He must have, but this happened to them a couple of seasons ago, if you remember, where Schmeichel left when they got relegated. Schmeichel left, and they ended up with Danny Ward in goal for the whole season, and they got relegated.
Bit of a comedy fest, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think there was him and another keeper who they kept on swapping with, and they were both absolutely atrocious. So, but one thing I would say with Leicester is these games will happen, because Newcastle are a much better team than Leicester, and Newcastle away is a hard place to go to. So I wouldn't be too kind of worked up over it. And they've kind of got to move on. But Newcastle are really good as well. Isaac, once again, really good. I can't see him being at Newcastle much longer.
Fairs. Right, where should we go next? I think we've got 2 games left because there are 2 7 o'clock games. I'm sure viewers and listeners know this, which obviously we're not covering because it just get a bit too late. And there is a Monday game as well.
Yeah, we had a comment about Brentford. Hopefully they beat Chelsea, so we want that as well. So because the week isn't over, yeah. So let's do Brighton Crystal Palace actually, because I watched this one and I really enjoyed it.
I'm so glad you did because I enjoyed this one as well.
Yeah.
I'm sure you all know it's a derby of some kind. It's a bit strange. It's a derby. But Brighton 1, Crystal Palace 3. All the goal scorers were Crystal Palace players. There you go. But I thought Crystal Palace were really, really sensational in this. I thought they were defensively switched on. I felt like the way they turned over and the way they kind of hit the counter, the way they moved the ball, they were just so intelligent. The first goal as well off the corner as well. I mean, I know it's a bit okay, it was a bit suspect from Brighton in terms of defending, but I felt like that set the tone.
Yeah, because Brighton actually started pretty well. Crystal Palace weren't really threatening much, but I tweeted this earlier. Everyone praises Brighton's recruitment, which it is. It's really good. Some of the players are signed, but these defensive issues have been so blatant for years now. They just don't seem to want to fix it. I know they signed Kadioglu in the summer, but he plays left back, which is arguably the position they need to enforce in the least because they're Stupiman's there. So I don't know. They were all over the place defensively. And yeah, Palace were really good. We've been saying it for a few weeks now, haven't we? That they've kind of steadily built into the season. And I thought Ismail Assar was brilliant. He kind of looks more like the player that we saw a few years ago who terrorised us. So if he can keep on doing that's good for them.
It is really good for them. And you know what? It's I saw Eze just like absolutely bossing the middle of the park as well. Some of the turns that he was doing, the way he was like taking, picking the ball, off those players' feet as well in the midfield. I just feel like it was overall a really good performance. And I thought Lacroix, I think that's how we say it. I thought, he was doing a really good defensive shift as well. Like, it just felt like they looked more cohesive. And this looks like this actual performance and result against that opposition, Brighton, who are a very good team, as we know. This felt like the Brighton of, Glasner of last season.
Yeah, I think it's the first time Brighton's lost at home this season. So it's a huge result for Crystal Palace.
Yeah, huge. Right. So, Crystal Palace are looking like they're good selves, and let's see what happens with Brighton as well. I feel like they have been going a little bit off the boil, like dropping points against the last weekend as well. It'll be very interesting to see where their trajectory is under this manager. Last game now, Nottingham Forest 2, Aston Villa 1. I found this one very bizarre and alarming. I think Aston Villa had 2 shots on target. I feel like they get absolutely spent when they're in Europe because against Leipzig, they had a phenomenal game.
Yeah.
It was like a Ross Barkley deflection shot that got them the winner. But I felt like they kind of poured everything into that. And they looked like they were running a bit on empties. And I think Nottingham Forest are just sniffing blood now. When they see a weakness, they just completely jump on it. We've been victims of it. Manchester United were as well, and this week it was, a Midland rival, should we say? And they absolutely did the job on them. I thought they were brilliant. Great by Martinez as well, by the way. Obviously, completely messes up for the actual goal.
Yeah, but some say that. I've seen some people saying, "Oh, he doesn't know much about it. It's a lucky," but that is absolutely mental, to be fair. And I'm not a massive fan of him. I find him quite annoying. So
me too. So yeah, if we're saying it, people, it was a really good save. The fact that he stopped it on the line, rotates his body, and flings it back out. It's like time stood still for him doing that in a box filled with players.
Yeah. Like you say, Forest, the fight from them, and they had a goal disallowed for very, very tight offside that didn't even really look offside, but apparently it was. But then to have that go against you and still manage to come out and win, it's quite impressive. But yeah, Villa have struggled with this all season. The weekend after playing in Europe, I don't think don't quote us on this, but I don't think they've picked up many, if any, good results after playing in Europe. So hopefully they're a bit better for the Man City game next week.
Yeah, we're hoping. Here's hoping. Right, I think we've kind of discussed all the games. Currently, because the games have kicked off, Tottenham are beating Southampton.
Already.
So yeah, they're already winning. It is Maddison scored on the first minute. So there you go. That is whilst we're there, we spoke about Brighton have to do. Brentford need to do us a favour against Chelsea. Although I don't think Brentford travels so well. With regards to Spurs, they are absolutely shocking, and we know this. And I think this is a must-win game, and it should be a must-win game because it is Southampton.
Yeah, if they don't win tonight, I think Ange is really, really hanging on. And obviously we've got them next weekend. I'm pretty sure it is next weekend anyway. So yeah, it's a huge game against Tottenham next weekend. So go against Southampton, see what happens. Put out whoever you want to play, and focus on Tottenham. Because if we can beat Tottenham, then we are really, really in a good position.
I like it. Right, any final takeaways from you?
No, the only thing that's really bugging us is Kyle Walker still. I can't get that clip of him diving out my head.
Oh, bless you. I know it's pretty bad. But lucky for us, it's not one of our players. It's somebody else's problem. Before we go, Ben, where can people find you on social media? Anything you'd like to plug?
Ben Pescott Journal on Twitter is the best place to find everything. There was a podcast that came out last week. We started the Academy podcast again, so if you haven't watched that yet, go and watch that. But yeah, hopefully I have some stuff out about the Liverpool game over the next couple of days, and then the previews for the games next week. So yeah, keep an eye out for that.
Give him a follow. Go and check that work out. It's excellent stuff. That pod is highly educational, and his work and his articles are brilliant. For my part, I'm just going to be back for the final whistle. That's all I got this week, guys. But thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for your comments. Thank you so much for listening. Take care, and we'll catch you next weekend.